ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Vince, and I'm here with my co-host, Elliot Margolis, and we have as a return engagement, Eric Major, who's been running Seaside Sustainability, mostly out in Gloucester, for how long now?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
It's not really mostly in Gloucester. That's just where we
headquarters,
are.
okay.
Yes, yeah.
And the last time you were on the show, we were talking about the things in general.
Yeah.
And one of the things that intrigued me is you mentioned you have a STEM program that you're developing for schools.
Yeah.
So how far along are you in the development of that program?
So one of the things that we do is we kind of do a lot of action in education. And in education, we have 3 programs. One of those is called National STEM Honor Society. And that is about to launch. We're at practically beta testing in a couple weeks. So
where are you going to launch it first?
We are launching it first. We have 24 schools that are quote-unquote pilots, although they're not going to be piloting it for long. They're going to be piloting it for about 3 weeks, and then we're going to be pumping it out. So we're starting in New England first, probably until the beginning of the year, and then we are going right across the country.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Exciting.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Just so that our listeners or watchers will know, describe STEM.
STEM. So STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And the United States has been lacking for quite some time, kind of on the international arena in our STEM kindergarten all the way up through industry. And what we're doing, we're preparing a lot of people. So in college, we do a wonderful job at preparing people for STEM careers, but a lot of those people came from other countries, and then we teach them and they go back. And so we're not retaining we haven't been retaining a lot of amazing talent. So in the last, I'd say since the turn of the century, we've really started spending a lot of energy literally on preparing kids from little kids all the way up through industry to include more and more people into STEM careers. And so a lot of energy has gone into that. And it's still unfortunate that underserved populations, and there's some statistics, I don't know how much I believe them, but some statistics suggest that some really high number of a ratio of girls really interested in STEM as kids in elementary school. And then literally as they, starts way up here in 70 percentile, and as they get into college, they really drops down to and I think it's something around 6% of that 70 actually go into STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, math.
That's kind of surprising, isn't it?
It is. It is. And, one would think that our social norms we've developed enough, and that would not be the case. But that is still the case. So one of the things that we're trying to do is help combat that and all underserved people in getting into STEM careers.
So when you say you got a STEM program associated with this National STEM Society, exactly what kind of things do you specialize in? Is it a generic, universal STEM program, or do you focus on something in particular?
Well, to be clear, National STEM Honor Society is a program of Seaside Sustainability, so it's not really associated with other programs. So our National STEM Honor Society is more analogous to, I would say, National Art Honor Society, opposed to National Honor Society. Okay. And so if you know the difference there, and again, this is actually a...
so you're program specific?
Very program specific.
Yeah.
Oh, the disciplines of science, technology, engineering, math. Something that's unique about us as well is we are... because we are sustainability focused, we are infusing National STEM Honor Societies any chance we can with sustainability. So that's really that's not necessarily the goal. Back in 2.5 years ago when we launched this, we evaluated public high schools across the country, and we said how can we get sustainability, because that's our focus, how can we get sustainability into schools? And, we discovered about 1 to 2% of all public high schools are actually doing something called, essentially curriculum systemic 9 through 12, anything in high school. And this is just public high schools, not private or anything like that. And so we decided that STEM was our way to get in, because STEM is skyrocketing. I believe in STEAM, so STEAM is STEM plus arts. I'm really a fan of arts, and I think that's kind of the way that STEM should be. Unfortunately, STEAM is not taking off as far as STEM is. It's kind of percolating. And I also feel that the STEM and STEAM don't see eye to eye. And I think I just regressed into some other place, but you asked a question. Sorry.
That's all right.
What was your question again?
I don't know. What am I going here? Let's get back to the STEM program that you're developing with your sustainability emphasis.
Yes.
What are you covering? What are you trying to inculcate into the kids?
Well, our tagline is K to Career. So we work on essentially developing chapters in elementary, middle, high school, college, university, public and private or independent schools. And so what we are, we like to. So actually, this is where I was going before. Unlike the National Honor Society, where they only really they acknowledge a merit, so a scholarship, so your grade GPA, your grade point average, and they also require a community service hours. And so there's junior and there's regular. And so we really want ours to be project-based learning. So like National Art Honor Society, those artistic students that are taking art classes, so art from dance to music to performing arts and to the fine arts, all of those. So and they National Art Honor Society is really project-based, really demonstration-based about what those students can do. That's what we're based on. It's really about projects. It's really about STEM. STEM projects from little kids all the way up to big kids, and so we are also infusing ours with. We have a scholarship component, an awards component. We have a massive database of partners and resources from state resources, curriculum, projects. Awards, competitions, events right across the country. So we're kind of like a clearinghouse as well. So we've made some great partnerships as well, too. So.
Are there any local schools involved right now?
Well, we haven't launched yet.
When you said you were going
about 24.
When we launch, they're all local. I mean, they're all Massachusetts. Essentially, they are $4.95 in from essentially $4.95 the loop.
Okay.
They're all.
How
there.
about Boston inner city schools?
Yep. So we have made a partnership with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but an inner city group that actually manages a bunch of schools, elementary, middle, and high school. And so they're actually this organization. We're actually running our programs for organizations as well, because there's a lot of inner city. It's not even just inner city. There's a lot of schools that don't have a lot of funding, or they don't have a lot of resources to incorporate something else. But they're fortunate enough to be partnered up with like a YMCA or a Girls Inc. or some kind of like local organization that helps them and manages things for them. So then we're kind of giving the platform for these organizations to then manage National STEM Honor Society. That organization that we're talking about is managing a whole bunch of them in the city.
What about charter schools? They're public.
Sure.
So there are charter schools that are involved as well?
There will be charter schools that are involved. Actually, no, I don't think any charter schools are on the 24. But I mean, I think, so from our evaluation of National STEM Honor Society, every principal, teacher, superintendent that we've spoken to is like, yeah, ready. This is going to be great. I think though college is a stretch. I don't think college is going to be a home run for us. I think it's going to be a college here and a college there. But I think it's really popular in elementary, middle, high school, both private independent schools and public schools right across the country.
What's unique about your STEM program? When you say you're adding sustainability. What kind of things are you going to be covering that a generic STEM program wouldn't?
Well, to be clear, we're not actually covering like material. We provide resources, and so one of our project-based resources that we're going to be providing will be essentially giving students resources and project ideas to incorporate STEM into their school. For instance, solar on their schools. For instance, gardens at their schools, or there's a whole bunch of like little robotics projects that kids can do that are sustainability focused, or you can make little solar panels out of strawberries and things like that. So those kind of things. So little curriculum.
Panel out of
I was going to say, but it sounds delicious.
I don't know how to do it. I just saw a video and I was like, well, that is really cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to do it. Actually, when we launch, maybe you can go and see the video.
Yeah. So once you get this program rolling, how far do you think you can get it to go? You got 24 lined up now.
I think so. Our market share is about like 143,000 institutions across the country. That's where I think I want to go.
Yeah.
I don't see us being on 143,000. But for every school, that could be a chapter, and I think STEM is skyrocketing. We are trademarked. Well, actually, our trademark is right there on the cusp. So at the last stage of trademark, and so we're right there. So hopefully, I'm going to try for lots of schools right off the bat. So we have a great staff and Seaside, a great board. Well, 2 great boards. So with that and a couple of new hires in 2020, I think we're going to be.
So you're trying this out on your interns?
It's like guinea pigs.
Yeah. Beta testing.
Beta testing. Yes, we have beta tested. I mean, well, the website's still a little clunky at the moment. It probably won't be in the next 2 weeks, but so yeah. I mean, they're integral of kind of in our research and our design, and kind of anything that we're kind of kid testing and teacher approved is going right through our interns. And we ask families. We have some moms and some dads and some families and some guardians, and ask some grandparents and lots of teachers, lots of students, from little kids all up to big, thoughts and feelings, and so yeah.
Where does your funding come from?
For National STEM Honor Society, to build the program, it has just come from Seaside, Seaside donations, and fundraising and grants and things like that. So yeah, but I mean, National STEM Honor Society, when it launches, I mean, the plan, of course, is it to have a funding strategy all by itself. So each chapter has an annual membership, and then there's merchandise, which we are looking at sustainable merchandise. We're not looking at our competitions. Some of our competitions out there have just stuff. And just more stuff, and just more stuff. And we're not looking to sell a lot of stuff. We'll sell, so there's a funding strategy kind of built in there.
And how do kids come to you to get involved in it?
Well,
how do you recruit kids?
We are not in the business of recruiting kids.
No, your interns, for instance.
Well, that's 2 different things. So National STEM Honor Society is a chapter-based program. So if you say you were the principal of a school, and I would, talk to you, and so you'd say, yeah, I don't want to run a chapter. Then you would select an advisor, which is George. George would then be your advisor, and then George would then say, beat the drum and say, hey, National STEM Honor Society, let's get all of our robotics kids and our, all of your kids. So you guys would then start flourishing. Year after year, you'd become an amazing program.
So each one of these chapters has to be self-sustaining, essentially.
Each one of these chapters has to be yeah. I mean, the hope is that we build a network of chapters. So your chapter will have a portal. Other chapters will have a portal. Every chapter will have a portal, and then you can be able to share best practices and ideas and wonderful, great things that you're doing.
The financing of each one of these chapters is going to be essentially on their own.
Yeah. I mean, we also part of what we also provide is lots of resources on fundraising.
Okay.
So just how to but I mean, it's also we're not talking a lot of money. We're I mean, each chapter is $295 a year. So it's not. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's it's
No,
not.
but teachers have to get paid for
stipends.
And
Sure.
you know,
There's parts and pieces of it that have to happen. Yep.
Do teachers have to be trained specially for this?
No. It's we are very comprehensive in what we provide. We have a huge toolkit. Essentially, all of the advisor and the director, they're soup to nuts of everything that they can do to help them, guide them, run a great chapter, some helpful tips, calendars, emails, presentations. We try to provide all of that, so we make it as easy as possible for them to run a chapter.
how many kids can be in a chapter? Like, let's say Beverly High, for instance,
Sure.
which has ballpark, about 1,200 students?
1,300, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. There's not like a minimum and there's not a maximum to us, and we're also we've toyed around with the idea of the chapter fee should be less for a smaller school and more for a bigger. It's just to try to make it more equitable, and it's just more of a management nightmare. So it's really, there's not a minimum and there's not a maximum. We actually have a couple homeschool groups that are going to pilot that. So that's pretty cool in itself.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think they only have 6 kids that are going to join on one end. So, and then we have inner city schools that are huge. So I don't know. In a year let's have another conversation.
Yeah. I remember when I was teaching in the K through 8 school.
I didn't realize you were a teacher, George.
Yeah, did a lot of
things.
He does a lot of things.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was
What did you teach?
That was my first retirement project. I taught science and math.
Very cool.
Obviously, yeah. And what made my life easier as a teacher was having what they call Carolina kits.
Oh,
It's a big box full of all the goodies.
Yes.
And you got a prepared lesson plan.
Completely.
And just open up the box and, this is lesson number 3. This is what we're doing this week, kind of thing.
Well,
are you going to that extent in this thing?
So we're not ourselves producing content like that. We are using that kit that you found. Whether we're evaluating those kits and then using those as resources.
So when you say you're providing resources, you're giving them advice and counsel. Hey, this one works. That one is not so good. Kind
exactly.
of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And I can say that to what you were just saying about elementary school and middle school, I think they do a great job. I mean, literally almost you walk into any elementary school across the country, and they do projects so well. Mm-hmm. And those teachers are just great. And I feel like what we do unfortunately in school, what most school is. We, like Ken Robinson said, we essentially unteach the creativity. We kind of suck the creativity out of them as the older they get, and so they have so much creativity in elementary school, and then as soon as they're getting into high school and they're trying to suck out So what we're trying to do is infuse it with more projects and more creativity allows them to do.
I would rephrase that as you suck the curiosity out of the kids.
Well done.
One of the things...
Oh, actually, I'm going to say...
Okay. No, one of the things I noticed with teaching is in about the 3rd grade, the kids are starting to ask pretty good questions, so it's the second half of the year. By the time you get them into the 4th grade, they're getting into some really good questions that, from my perspective anyway, it's beyond what you can reasonably expect from a generic elementary school teacher, because an elementary school teacher has to focus on such a broad field that when you get into the specifics, they have problems. And
it's hard to be a specialist at that level. Yeah.
One of the things I was hoping that when we built this new middle school would have made it a 4 through 8 school, because once you get into that middle school concept, now you've got expert course specific teachers or subject specific teachers that can rotate around.
Right.
And I got into this discussion with the superintendent 2 superintendents ago about having a STEM specialist go around to the elementary schools. Oh, I can't do that, too expensive. And too much to expect one teacher to cover 4 elementary schools.
Did you offer to do it?
Yeah.
You sound like be a great fit.
I got to the point I even talked to the superintendent about it, and he said, go see the middle school teacher, then go see these teachers. And I said, okay, give me a call when I can come in and do something. I'm still waiting. That was 10 years ago, but anyway, that's why I ended up with the
With
St.
us.
Mary's.
And you ended up with us.
That too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a kid gets interested in STEM, and the kid is a science freak. Okay, they really like science, whether it's astronomy or what. Take your pick. What kind of programs are there for them? So that, I mean, what gets you to get them interested in being in STEM? And do you interview them and say, what are your interests in science and technology, or these are the programs we have?
No, we don't specifically do that for kids. We provide, you being the director and you being the advisor, we provide you a lot of resources. Now, with the resources you have there, one thing, the resources you have here in Beverly or Danvers or Wichita, Kansas, those are all very different. Some places have a lot of opportunities for STEM kids, both in part of the curriculum and the part of the day, before school, after school, and then summertime. But then other places just don't. So we're trying to give as much resources as we can right through the STEM programs to essentially level the playing field, although that's not ever going to happen through a web-based program. So we're trying to provide resources as much as we can. So, but to answer your question, more specifically, we don't really. So National STEM Honor Society, we don't hold the hands of kids to show them programs. We give you the tools, you guys the tools as the program
We
directors.
would be expected to hold the hands and give them the
You are
advice
already
and counsel.
Well, you are already there, so
Yeah.
you're the people that can do it best, and you're the ones that have the relationships with the kids. So,
Yeah.
And then you're the ones that also have the relationships with the community, and you're the ones that have have relationships with parents and guardians and things like that. So pulling those people in, and so. Yeah, and then National STEM Honor Society provides kind of how-tos to do that stuff.
No, like you say, this area is very good. That there are a lot of resources, and I can remember back again when I was doing the teaching stuff. It was very easy to get a class trip to one of these local science
Right.
operations because we got a lot of them around.
We have a ton of them.
Yeah.
Well, we're in a mecca here.
Yeah, it could take
Other places, not so much.
Yeah, you could take the kids over to Bates Lab and
Right.
show them a linear accelerator. And,
Totally.
Yeah, that was actually my question. Do they do field trips to, say, the
Yeah.
Science Museum?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, we promote that, so definitely promote that and ideas, and so and actually one of our projects we're doing is actually with our interns is we have not exhausted, but we have practically 1,000 resources that are national, and so now we're going state by state and evaluating resources right throughout every state, and then so that'll be good to provide them. If you weren't here, or even if you are here, you can go on to that state resource and say, okay, what's available in Massachusetts? Wow, there's this and this, and I didn't even know about So, and then we're just going to be scratching the surface as well, because we're not, we're not in Beverly, Mass, so we're not in all communities. So we're going to do our best to continue. That'll be a continuous process to, really kind of infuse as much local resources as we can in each state.
one of the things that worked out well with these class trips to a science facility is, in the case of Bates Lab, the lady that would take the kids around and explain to them what they're doing, she was the one that was running the instrumentation for the whole lab. And it was a nice thing for the girls to see, oh, there were women doing things that are really scientific. And I think this was one of the things that gets lost. And when we used to go to New England biolabs, it was the same thing. There would be 3 or 4 ladies who said, okay, you put this goo in with that goo and it makes, there's your DNA. And doing all sorts of good stuff. And that
cool.
was a good opportunity, I thought, to introduce the girls to women doing science, which is the point you were alluding to early on. They get lost in there.
They did that on The Big Bang Theory on TV, too, getting more...
Good show.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
It was a good show. But, yeah, getting more women involved. And that's why it kind of bothered me when you said 70% of the girls seem to be interested until they get to college, and then it goes down.
Well, I think career. But, it just keeps, precipitously going down.
Which makes...
And all underserved, not just females.
A lot of people get the idea that, that's too difficult. Mathematics is impossible. And they get tuned out very early on and figure, I got to do something simpler than that.
I think but that's why your program is so good, because it can get kids early on to get interested.
Yeah. Well, another tool for them to get interested, as a director, or as a principal and a teacher, you're pulling out as much as you can. But this is just another tool that's in their quiver, so they can get kids and keep kids interested.
Yeah.
And right through the educational continuum, right through K to career.
Yeah.
Is it an issue with the kids and their parents? Like, let's say you've got a kid that's interested in some of this, but the parents don't have that background. Do you work with the parents at all to try and get them to understand and work with their kid?
That is probably one of the most challenging things in education, what you just kind of outlined there, is a family structure at home that doesn't support what's happening in the school. And I think, those are a lot of the kids in our school system right across the country that kind of fall through the cracks. No. To answer your question, we don't. We do not work. I mean, that's just the only people. Again, if you're the director of this program or the principal, and you're a teacher, you're the best people for that. And even with all of your tools and all the resources and a school behind you, it's so challenging to do that.
I'm sure it is.
That would.
We've got roughly 1 minute left.
Okay.
And in that 1 minute, sell. Tell us, basically do an outline of who you are, what you do, and get people interested.
National STEM Honor Society, I think it's going to be a wonderful program. I think it's launching in a few weeks right across the country, and it's for students in K to career to find their passions in the fields of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and I think we have an opportunity here to make a difference in our country. And making our students more prepared in the STEM disciplines.
Well, I think you're right. We definitely need to improve our education. We appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I think that's phenomenal.
Appreciate you allowing me to be here.
I'll have to make sure my granddaughter and grandson are aware of it for when they start into school.
Awesome.
But thank you for coming.
Thank
you for explaining to everybody. And I think we ought to have them back in a year and see how it's going. What do you think, George?
Yeah.
Happy.
So mark it down in the calendar.
Okay, after his shoulder surgery.
Good luck
with that.
His shoulder surgery is in November, so no problem.
All right, that's next year.
But all right, thank you for watching. I hope it was entertaining for you. I hope you learned something from it, and we will see you in the next show.